Good afternoon. This is Shirley with Spirit of Matter. And this is a Venus day and a Jupiter hour with both the Ascendant and the Midheaven ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter in Venus sign in the third, retrograde 13 degrees Taurus, and the Moon in Cancer is sextile in it and squaring the Sun in Libra, Sun in the 8th. And Venus is in Leo right now, but we are talking about a Venus ingress into Virgo. And so this video is actually about Venus in Virgo, natal, and transit. So I'll begin with the timeless teaching, which is what is Venus, what is Virgo, how do they combine, and then I'll go on to the transit effect and the current transit that is Venus about to ingress Virgo. So, what is Venus? Venus is a planet of connection. It's a planet of value. It's a planet of that which is beautiful. It's a planet of balance and aesthetic. It is ruling Taurus and Libra. So it's ruling both an earth and an air sign, a yin and a yang sign. It is a planet of the voice and expression and sensuality and the senses, as well as morality from the Libra point of view, not in the Jupiterian way, but definitely the air sign of Venus deals with morality, heuristics, balancing one value with another type of morality. So comparison between moral values and trying to balance those things that may contradict. Venus also rules vehicles. She rules cars, okay, connecting people, and music and art and expression. So Venus is associated with the goddess Ishtar and Ereshkigal and Inanna, depending on her phases. She takes around a year plus to, I think it is a year plus. Okay, this part I need to check. But she is basically a personal planet. So the place, Venus is also a love language. So the place where our Venus is, where the sign and the house where Venus is, tell us what are the colors of our value system and what colors are connections and assets, and what we find beautiful and how we achieve beauty. Virgo, okay, Virgo constellation is one thing, but we're talking about the tropical perspective. But still, let's look at the glyph of Virgo. Virgo is portraying the maiden, and it's basically the portrayal of a young woman, also a virgin. But what do we know about women in this age? Okay, they are in the age where the hormones actually are active. You're already menstruating. You're already your sexual energy is already reaching a certain point where you could be having sexual fantasies, sexual desires, but it is not yet accepted for you to consume those. And that can create for a lot of anxiety, as well as wondering about what is healthy for me. Okay, what expression of my energy is healthy for me? Now, if you know about sexual energy being abundant in your body without the legitimacy to consume it, or anybody talking to you about this, then you might be extra sensitive to frequency, to noises, to sounds. And you could become very anxious and very petty, okay, very critical. Everything annoys you because it's not perfect, it's not the way it should be. And then this, you can understand how the way we view Virgo is a social construct, because it deals with times where the young maiden is already being sexual. There are certain sexual encounters that are absolutely not healthy for her, but she's also not being introduced to how to celebrate her sexuality. And so everything is bugging, everything is annoying, everything is overwhelming. There's a lot of anxiety about the day to day, a lot of energy, you don't know what to do with that. And so she would either put it in work or in cleaning and try to purify herself from these desires, and try to find an outlet. And a lot of what she deals with, a lot of dissonances, where she needs to be the pure maiden, but also she's very attractive for her youth. Okay? Where there are certain circumstances where she can absolutely not let her energy out for her own sake, but nobody tells her about what outlet can she have for this energy. Okay, so Virgo is under tremendous stress for something that is mutable, that is changing. Okay, the young girl is changing into a maiden. And if you know the Britney Spears song, I'm not a girl, I'm not yet a woman, this is exactly that phase. And this is exactly the sensitivity that comes with that. And what do we know that comes with stress is the intestines. If people have, for example, IBS, usually when they tend to that holistically, they discover a lot of stress placed on them that harms with digestion. Okay. You can also, from this depiction, see how in a different society where young maidens are being treated differently, are being respected differently, and their sexual energy is being addressed differently, then their sensitivity can be expressed differently. And so Virgo is both the green witch, okay, the woman who finds her outlet in the forest, in nature, and she knows to speak with the plants and to communicate and exactly what energy is needed to treat what type of anxiety, okay, what types of irritation. But also it can be the archetype of putting yourself to the grind, to the work, and finding joy and outlet for your energy and working incredibly hard until your IBS catches up to you, or your intestine disease catches up to you. And so the place where you find joy, that can often have to do with cleaning something, with managing something, with controlling something, or even with healing and caring for something, but in a very practical way. Okay? Again, this is the maiden that cannot express the vulnerability of her emotions and desires, but can very well pay attention to details. So the only thing that you can communicate is basically, oh, you take that, that herb for what you're feeling right now, and kind of tell you about how these herbs work with your nervous system, you this, you that. Never touch on the topic that's your energy, your ability to express yourself, your ability to celebrate yourself. And we are having different times. We're having renewal also in the lives of young women, and we are also having different types of Virgos as a result of that, okay, suddenly we would have the Virgo that has tantra classes and talks about holistic medicine and buy her own house, so she could be independent. She can celebrate sexuality without dependency on the man. Okay, we have all types of Virgos coming up as the times are progressing. Okay? Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is ruling children, is also ruling small things and dissecting things. Okay? Virgo is a mutable sign. So you think about landslides, it's a Virgo thing. It's an earth that moves. Okay? And if you think about the earth element as a feminine element, as the basis underneath of it, and about the story of a girl turning into a young woman, you understand that the ground is not shaking, but definitely moving beneath the feet, because the earth element, which is that woman at that point, is transforming from being a child to being a woman. Where in Libra, she's already a woman, but then we have the scales. Okay, it's not even a human side. It's just like, you're welcome, you're a woman. The scales. That's literally what it is. Okay, we become your youth, and you're tending, you're cleaning this, you're cleaning that, you're tending to this, you're tending to Star Wars. Then poof, then you're judged. Welcome to maturity. So. And so Mercury also rules details and information, which Virgo gives in abundance. You think about the being that its erotic energy is constrained to pay attention to everything that is around it and be fully present, so that it's not thinking about other things, and so immersive in every frequency that they meet. Okay, for anybody that tried something like semen retention or something like holding your sexual energy, understand what, or doing tantric work with your sexual energy, understand what I'm saying very, very correctly, because you're becoming way more sensitive to information and data, and way less tolerant to your surroundings, and your surroundings cannot tolerate you either. Okay, but this is where Venus comes into play. Venus is about being comfortable in your body, being cozy in your body, enjoying sensual pleasure, connecting things. So Venus in Virgo can be connecting frequencies to make for a sensual experience that is healing to your nervous system. Venus in Virgo be using your voice as sound therapy, or diagnosing medical conditions through the voice. Growing roses in your garden is a Venus Virgo. Tending to the roses, a meticulous job. Okay? And that connects Venus, flowers, and the gardening. That's Virgo. And now we must understand, Venus brings sensuality. Look at it. Think about a house where a young girl is living in that doesn't yet have anybody talking to her about what to do positively with her upsurging sexual energy. Okay? And she cleans the house, she makes homework, she studies very hard, she's got her nose in the books, and then comes this beautiful woman, and Venus is coming from Leo. Okay? This beautiful woman, very, very sexual, very, very passionate, and she steps into this household. Two things happen. One, the maiden looks at this woman and she's like, what is this creature? I've been told that to be such a woman is to be cheap, is to be lacking self-respect, is to be impure, is to be um, wasting your time, not doing something with your life. Okay, so she comes with a lot of, I have never seen a woman in her full bloom coming into, in what she's doing. What's she doing here? She just came from like royalty to visit me. And the second thing that happens is that Venus went through Leo, and now she's royal, she's vulnerable, she's open, she is authentic, and she tiptoes into this house of this young maiden who is very, very attractive and youthful looking, but is incredibly petty. And there's a dissonance in between the lady of the house, the lady that runs the house, and the lady that steps into the house. So, what can these two ladies connect around? Venus can be more attuned with what makeup is she wearing. You've been paying attention to the colors, to the effect of the colors, to the royalty. Maybe you've been wearing gold. And in Virgo, she's like, okay, where is this gold coming from? Is this makeup that I'm wearing good for my skin? Okay, because this is where the details of Virgo actually add to the beauty of Venus. Is this makeup that I'm using going to cause me to age? Or there are more cleaning practices that I need to apply to this? Can I do my lotion more natural? This is where these two ladies can connect. And what happens to the Venus maiden, the Virgo maiden, is that now she's been useful. Her knowledge is being applied, even though she's young. She's got a lot to give. She's got a lot of information to give, got a lot to offer. And now that Venus, that has learned to be loyal, that has learned to be vulnerable, that has learned to feel at ease with being attractive and attract, is now actually learning how to keep her youth in Virgo. How to use, what to eat so that your skin still looks good when you're 70. Is Venus in Virgo. What makeup to use that is nourishing for your skin and also nourishing for the environment. That's Venus in Virgo. The soap you've been using down there, darling, it's killing your pH. That's Venus in Virgo. Okay? So Venus in Leo is taking care for the appearance, then she steps in, she tiptoes into this house that seems very cold, very critical, but it also comes with a lot of actual practical information that is important to preserve her youth. And so having Venus in Virgo natally can mean that you could be anxious about the details that pertain to your appearance. It can also mean that you could be looking at your ears, your nose, your brows, your eyes, your lips, and saying, oh, I like my eyes, but I don't like my forehead or this or that. While in general, you need, the Venus wisdom is when you look at the beautiful painting, do you go into with your nose into the painting and kind of inspect every dot, or are you asked to take a step back, a couple of steps back, so you can take a look at the painting? Okay, Venus can teach that to Virgo, but the Venus Virgo natal, she will learn it or he will learn it at a certain stage in life. That it's not how your eyes look plus how your nose look plus how your cheeks look plus how your chin look plus how your jawline looks that make you a beautiful person. It's how your face is looking when you combine that which is perfect, aesthetic, and that which is asymmetrical, which is another complementary form of beauty that you also need. Otherwise, you're going to look like a sketch. Okay, you know, people that are very, very symmetrical, people look at them like, that's weird. And it's also beautiful. But it's not the beauty that we would expect it to be. We would think that very symmetrical people would have classical beauty. They don't. They have unusual beauty because it's so symmetrical. And it's the combination between symmetry and asymmetry that creates your character, the you inside you. So Venus in Virgo, you think about Beyonce wearing big earrings so that people won't, God forbid, see her big ears that allow her to hear a lot of frequency and accentuate on her hearing abilities and make her the singer that she is by ear. Is also Venus in Virgo. Hey, I don't like my ears so much, but if I put big earrings, they won't see it that much. Okay. Or the Mariah Carey story, where she was married to Tani Motola, her forehead was always hidden. She had this ponytail, and then she got divorced. She removed the ponytail as well, and ever since then, she's always been exposing her forehead. And looking no less beautiful, if not more beautiful, more confident, more present in her own skin. Okay? So Venus Virgo goes through, whether she's direct or indirect, she's going through these changes, this mutability to how to apply beauty to her life and how to apply hygiene and health to her beauty. It's something that she's just dealing with over and over again. Oh, I like this lipstick, but this lipstick is made with cruelty to animals that is not necessarily needed for my skin, and it doesn't make it even more healthy to my skin. Maybe I can get this color by using natural ingredients that I grow myself even. Okay? That's Venus in Virgo. And so she can go through different phases of what's cleanliness, what's beauty, what is a pure beauty, what makes beauty. And she can definitely reach a certain stage where she understands the little details that make you beautiful and becomes more whole with herself simply by trying and trying again. That's the mercurial activity of trying this, trying that, trying again. It's a mutable sign. It's not a fixed sign. So she can change looks and explore and actually be quite fashionable. It can be very, very beautiful and very youthful and know to preserve her beauty. What the dark side is, she can, the tendency to look and compartmentalize every detail in her body can make for anxiety and can interfere with sexual satisfaction and orgasmic feelings. Okay, so this is something that she will need to learn how to take a step back from the painting that is even her body and take a look at her body as a whole rather than at the body as various, compartmentalized things that summon up to make a certain painting that she doesn't even see. And that's why she would get insecure. She doesn't see the whole picture. So this is Venus Virgo. Venus Virgo, and now Venus Virgo for relationship, the same is applied, okay? Venus Virgo can know a lot about communication that makes for attraction or for connection. She can know how to communicate in a way that drives in connection, that drives in attraction, or that kills it. Because Mercurial is very applied skill and communication. And Virgo is connections. She can know the tricks of how to keep a relationship going. But because it's mutable, her passions can change. Although it's an earth sign, and because it is a mutable earth sign, she might look for the stability outside. Because earth wants stability, but this earth is moving and she can change her passions a lot. And so she might look for someone who will bring that stability that she doesn't have. Will be drawn to people that are actually more free than she can allow herself to be, because she's mutable, but she's also earth. Can you think about the square between Sagittarius and Virgo? Okay, Sagittarius is mutable but free and fire, and so they can make great attraction, but this is still an earth sign. Okay, she's still gonna want stability of some sort. Venus in Virgo might find it difficult to understand her own commitment style, and sometimes because she's looking for stability outside, she might be prone to blame the other person for being inconsistent, where, you know, the seventh house is a reflection of the self as well. It's not just the partner. And it's, again, for a man as well. Okay, for a man as well, it might be crying that women are inconsistent, but if you would have like this fixed, I don't know, Venus, Taurus woman, then he would find her boring. Okay, because she doesn't, like, she's beautiful and everything is fine, but, you know, can't eat the same steak every day kind of mentality, which is also important to remember. And it takes a bit of maturity to understand that there is a complexity and intricacy surrounding it. And if there is any contextual shame around being sexual, then she can address this and learn to really enjoy life. Mercury is also being playful, so you can derive a bit from the playful Mercury to execute her perfection. She will strive for perfection also in intimacy, and might try different ways to get that, again, regardless of the gender of the person. So then depends on where is this Virgo coming in your life. When is this Venus Virgo coming in your life? And that depends on the houses. It can be your body, your first house, or your path in life. And then it's actually looking at your body and learning to look at it like you look at the painting, rather than like you look at the, you know, an assignment you have to give a grade to. And it can be seventh house, it's relationship. It can be 10th house, where you're doing something of beauty or of music even, and this something has even health connotation. Maybe you're doing sound therapy, or your music is therapy to others, or your values, you're being kind of playful in presenting your values, or the way that you look at your image and branding is with trial and error kind of way. But eventually you can grow great skill across time in your endeavors. Okay? Virgo is also hard work. Venus is joy, so you enjoy working hard even more so than any other Virgo. So that was Virgo, and when this Venus transits your Virgo house, then everything that I said becomes an episode in your life for the duration of Venus in Virgo. These themes that I mentioned in the introduction, they become a chapter in your life story. This chapter is with Venus Virgo in it. So there's a Venus Virgo for your life now. And it could be somebody that plays the role of this Venus that's coming to your life, or it can be that you display these, you know, you see it around you, or that you display, you explore these themes. So people might look into more natural form of makeup, natural form of skincare, People might look into the how to genuinely keep hygiene down there. Or the words, because it's also words. Naming your genitalia can absolutely be also a Virgo thing, because Mercury is language and words, and Venus is also about vaginas, for those who have vaginas. So that can definitely, or talking with your vagina can absolutely be Venus Virgo. And all those practices that are enriching our connection with sensuality through words, through skill, through practical knowledge, through herbs, or herbs that are good for your sexual drive, and so on and so forth. Or how your orgasm affects your nervous system and intestines and so on. Now, let's go and see what will Venus in Virgo will bring in 2023. We'll look at the ingress. Venus enters Virgo on October 9. What happens on October 10? Pluto is moving direct. It is stationed. Now it's going to move direct on October 10th. Okay, just to keep that in mind. Which will quincunx this Venus. So the ingress is conjuncting Lilith, which has more than one episode featuring this, and opposing Saturn, which are in a different episode today. And this happens on October 9th. And we can, just a little bit for those who are only watching this episode, this is where Lilith, the archetype of I'm neither above nor beneath you, but if you won't let me be beside you, I'm not going to give up being a mother just for the sake, and I will do everything that it takes to have a joyous life and a meaningful life, even outside of you. But how will you have children then? So it can be either technology or an actual, stealing, which is also Mercury. But with Venus, where Venus and Lilith connect is honoring our desires and our right to be sensual and enjoy sensuality. Or in terms of purchases, honoring our right to pay a fair price for hygiene products, or female hygiene products, or vagina hygiene products for that sense. Okay, where Venus and Lilith do not connect is that Venus is about connecting things and being diplomatic, whereas Lilith has no reasoning to do that. Maybe in Venus signs, but like she's not elegant about anything. She's just like, I desire this, it's a fair desire, I'm entitled to this, period. And Venus has more of eloquent blend to describe this. But it's definitely about shamelessly expressing your desires. And with the opposition to Saturn, there can be a certain reality check that is not actual reality. Or that is actual reality, but shouldn't be. Okay, it's not because of karma in the regular sense. It's just that karma is being composted, and I address the Pluto-Saturn relations ever since 2008 and how it changes the notion of karma, time, and Saturn itself in other episodes. So we have on October 10th, as Pluto is moving direct, Venus and Saturn, okay, Pluto is ruled by Saturn. Saturn and Venus have an opposition. Okay, so as Pluto is moving direct, its ruler is receiving an opposition from Venus. And again, this is the Saturn that finds it difficult to fend for itself. Both because Pluto has been in its sign, and Pluto is literally decomposing and rejuvenating from the core. It's transformation from the core of every concept that it touches. Now it's the concept of Saturn, time, hierarchy, structure, mountains, and everything associated, countries, governments, religion. religious institutions, and so on and so forth. With Saturn in Pisces, how religion and healthcare combine and need to be separated or not, and taboo discussions of the connection between the ocean and energies, structures that we between cartels and pharmaceutical industry, and so on and so forth. And so this Saturn, that is, it has the job to unravel things, but because it unravels so much, it's basically finding it difficult to play the karma job that we're used to when Pluto is not in its sign. Because Saturn's been asking, how has all this been working for you for so long? And right now, Saturn in itself is being rediscovered, and so it still asks this question, but it has less and less merit because Saturn is going through an update. And so Venus is opposing this Saturn. Get a Shabbos. Is opposing this Saturn, and even from her detriment position, she herself is in the process of revolution because we have Uranus in her sign. So this is a very interesting encounter that we should take with a grain of salt, because both Venus and Saturn are hosting outer planets that liberate the very core of their existence, Uranus and Pluto in its own way. And Venus is also ruling Ketu, so it's a very interesting encounter where we can have a bit of a conversation. It's kind of like the blind person is preaching to the deaf person, and the deaf person is trying to show a picture in many colors to the blind person, and this conversation is not really, it's very satirical to watch, but it's not very fruitful at its time. It's just something that takes its course. And that is quite interesting, because the next aspect Venus is going to make. Now, let's see what happens when is the moon in Virgo. Yeah, moon enters Virgo on October 10, and it's going to go over this Venus, going to trigger the opposition to Saturn. So October 10, the moon is going to go to ingress into Virgo and trigger this opposition to Saturn. So really, on October 10th, try to understand that what you're seeing now, what you're hearing now, what you're sensing now is a speck of the whole picture. It's not anywhere near the whole picture, and the entire picture is being renovated. That's what I'm going to say about that. And only in October 22nd do we get another aspect of Venus, which I find interesting, because she's going to go through the entire 12 degrees of Virgo, not doing very much. So that means basically we have 12 days of Venus in Virgo, not aspecting anything except for maybe asteroids, and not doing very much. What do you need to know about this? So, for example, if you're Pisces ascendant, I'm not going to do the whole breakdown now, just as an example, and you have been waiting for a romantic relation to come up with this Venus ingress. Well, she's opposing Saturn. So she's not going to be, and she's not going to be doing very much. So you're not going to be getting what you need to get from it. Okay? Not this Venus cycle. And then she does get to break this by trining Jupiter. This is a retrograde Jupiter. And now, Venus-Jupiter trines have been conspicuously known to be elections for weddings. And why conspicuously? Because you see here, Venus is in Virgo and Jupiter is retrograde. I'm not saying it cannot work. It can absolutely be the most probable election you will have in the near future for your wedding. But this one is more of a relief. Whether it's realistic or not, it's just a relief. It's just when Venus and Jupiter meet, Jupiter is optimism, Jupiter is joy, Jupiter is traveling, and Venus is connecting. You can see how traveling and connecting is very much interrelated. And again, Venus in Virgo is going to do the know-how, the very details of networking, what's needed. So it can very well be a good thing. Okay, and it's one of these moments that we can actually look forward to. The moon is going to be conjuncting Pluto and squaring the sun, but trining Uranus. So it's going to be lit. Will it be long term? I don't know. But it's definitely going to be deep and profound, but can be a bit of a crisis to your sense of shine and confidence you have to be cautious about. Pluto Sun we like on elections right now more harmonious, so the transformation is more harmoniously facilitated. Still not easy, but it's more harmoniously facilitated than a crisis of confidence when you try to start a relationship or commit. Is definitely not an election that I would recommend. Other than that, it's just a relief from the tension that Venus has been carrying in Virgo. And then we have the Venus trining Uranus on October 31. Okay, so she's again another 9 days where she's not doing very much. She's going to have the moon aspecting her from Scorpio, from Sagittarius, from Pisces, from Taurus. Okay, she's going to have these couple of hours of grace of the moon aspecting her, so we're going to feel her in Virgo, which can be positive. Okay, after she leaves this opposition with Saturn, when the moon meets Venus in a sextile, in a trine, so when the moon is even in Scorpio, even when it is fall, in Capricorn or in Taurus, or even in Cancer, but I think it won't get to Cancer. Yeah, it will get to Cancer with Venus still in Virgo. Then this is a time where we can enjoy Venus a bit more, even though she's at her detriment. So these are moments of nice grace to it. But her next aspect with any planet is not the moon is going to be on October 31, which is going to be the trine aspect to Uranus, but it's going to be on the 21 degree too. What I love about the 21st of October is that Uranus leaves for a moment the 22nd degree. Okay, 22nd degree, reminding you of Nicola Stoyanovich degree theory, is the degree of to kill and be killed. This is where we have bombings, shootings, terror, and bloody revolution that's going on. And Uranus is always revolution. It can always be explosive, but together with the 22nd degree is just a lot. Okay, and on the 21st degree, we're not in that type of lethality anymore. So what I like more about Venus trining Uranus, even though the moon is decreasing now in Gemini, is that it's a nice spot where you can have something electric, spicy, exciting. It's not the square. Okay, you can have an extra expense, you can have an extra night out, but you could probably, with that aspect, only leverage for it. The big issue is that while she's trining Uranus, which can be very refreshing, very exciting, or even if it's a closure, even if you're like towards the end of a relationship, it could be like a nice time where you just discover that you're going to still think about each other with a smile. But the opposition to Neptune is more the point of concern here, because Neptune is, with the hard aspect, is more the the theme of ideation and disillusionment, more so than just the spiritual flair walking in a dream. It's so beautiful that we have with the sextile and the trine. Okay, when Venus and Neptune sextile or trine, you could make beautiful art, but you can also make a connection that looks like a movie. When Venus and Neptune opposition or square, you can have tremendous longings. It can look like a movie, but it's actually quite corrupted of a scene. So with this aspect, what it means is that fatedly you are highly likely to be incredibly disillusioned in your intimate connections or by purchase. Okay, you can make a sudden purchase that's going to revolutionize your life, but you will think that from now on, I don't know, let's say you purchased some spiritual teaching cassette. Okay, you say, I'm going to listen to this and I'm going to enjoy that, and you have wonderful, like a psychedelic experience around it. But then you are, because of the aspect with Neptune, you discover that this teaching is absolutely not useful for you. Okay, you still are liberated in some way. There's still things that you have liberated, you have changed that are actually good for you, but they are disillusioned maybe with the guru, or if you think about the figures like Jung or Osho, okay, not that I'm comparing Jung to Osho, God forbid, but he also slept with patients, and you think about shadow work. Okay, so let's say you buy something about shadow work and mystery, and it's Jung and blah blah blah, and you're like, I'm gonna listen to this Jung guy, and you really revolutionize your life. You apply things and so on and so, and then you find out that the liberation is valid, it's good for you, but it was not Jung, it was Sabina Spieler-Ryan, it was the patients that he slept with that you don't know. It's like, oh my God, I was holding so much from this person, and he was just plagiarizing the patients that he was sleeping with. Okay, but shadow work is still valid for some cases, right? But looking at me is still beautiful and liberating. It's like, hey, some of the things that those anonymous patients he was sleeping with were true. Okay, it's just that you're disillusioned with the fact that, Jung was not the person he was supposed to be. Or Bertolt Brecht. Okay, Bertolt Brecht is basically everybody that he slept with, and he slept with everybody. So that's, one thing to know. With Osho, it's a bit more complicated because he raped the people that he slept with. And then he said that the people he raped had sexual fantasies of rape that he was fulfilling for them. And, the spiritual teachings that come from that still do a lot of harm to society. So this is this transit. Now let's see if we have what we have in November with Venus. And meanwhile, you got, on November 8th, Venus will ingress into Libra. But on November 4th, we have the exact opposition to Neptune. And again, you are disillusioned from a guru. You are disillusioned from something you held ideal. It can even be a type of shoes. You purchase some type of shoes and you're like, oh, I'm going to know these shoes are going to be so great. They're going to correct my posture. They're going to do it. They're like, this shoe. And then you went out and traveled with these shoes. Like, you will always have travelings that you made with these shoes. They're just not going to yield the promise that they yielded. It's just you're going to be disillusioned from the marketing that was around them, but still you traveled with them, you had good experiences with them. It was a good purchase, even though it was not the most fair deal or something like that, because Venus is also purchases. Now, so on November 4th is the exact opposition. What I turn you to is not to November 4th, because November 4th you could be feeling ideation. Okay? Is when Venus separates from this opposition that now you're kind of disillusioned. oh, that was the case. Oh, that was what happening. Okay. But you still have the spiritual experience that you had. It's just that it's not going to be materializing and real. And if that was a relationship, you can absolutely manifest for that spiritual experience, but in a trine, in a sextile, where it's actually real and not an illusion. So that is and you can have tremendous longing and kind of like grieving if that was a connection. Maybe you thought that it would be more, but and because it's Neptune, it could be something to do with energy. Okay, also Uranus. It could be like you felt this energy from this person you meet, and they're like, they didn't feel a thing. Okay, you felt it, and it's like, oh, but you can still manifest for something like this with mutual that is real. You might find it with Venus sextile, Venus trine election or synastry. So don't despair. Now, after November 4, we're going to have November 6, we're going to have the trine between Venus and Pluto. But is it from? Yes, still from Virgo. And now, as Venus opposes Neptune, she begins to trine Pluto. Now, what do I love about Venus trining Pluto? Venus trining Pluto, Pluto is the core of something. Venus is connection, connecting with the core of something. In a trine, it's real. What you have is real. The transformation is real. With Venus trining Pluto, what you most feared is actually not at all that scary. If let's say you're a woman and you're dating someone, you're like, oh my God, are they a psychopath? Are they a serial killer? Are they this? Are they that? No, they're just a man who is in love with you and wants to give you deep satisfaction. Oh, okay. That was you're afraid of? And this is, in many cases, true to the sextile, the trine. That was you afraid of? Come on. That was what you were afraid of? And this is such a beautiful transformation, deep transformation. You're afraid to trust, you're afraid to this, and you're compelled, because with Pluto, this coercion, it is a magnet that draws you to be transformed, and you are compelled to go there, and then you're like, oh my God, that was what you were afraid of? What, to have a Kundalini rise and squirt? Like, come on. That was what you were afraid of? But when this happens, because Pluto sextiles Neptune, it is opposition to Neptune. So you could, for example, be having a very deep and consuming, beautiful sexual experience and think, oh my God, this man, I'm going to marry him. Or this woman, I'm going to marry her. And this man is a very beautiful man, great, he gave great satisfaction, he's married. So now you're like, you will always have the memories, the fears that you were fearing that were not at all the issue. There were other issues, okay? And so you could be greatly idealizing this person that you went through this deep process with, and they that you're disillusioned from them. And this can be regardless of your gender, okay? When it is relational. And that can mean, or another thing that can happen, because Venus, Pluto is also psychology, okay? And Venus is connection. So you might go into a relational psychologist, and this relational psychologist is excellent, but it tells you, listen, you must also go to psychiatrist, because I have to, report the welfare, the this, the that, you go, and now you have a wonderful experience with let's say the psychologist, but then you go to the psychiatrist, they prescribe pill to you, you take these pills, and they nearly kill you. Okay? Because we have this sextile between Pluto and Neptune, but whatever trines Pluto opposes Neptune, whatever sextiles Pluto opposes Neptune, whatever, and vice versa. And so you can't have the psychology and the psychiatry operating great for you at the same time. But the good thing is that when the psychology does not operate great for you, also the psychiatry does not, and the sextile between them just means you're going to abandon both of them altogether. If it was a yod relations, like what happens with my Chiron, Natalie. And why I say the good thing, because you're not succumbing more so than other people who genuinely could lose their lives. It's still not a good thing. Yeah. It's very horrible, but you must understand, if this is something to do with healing practices or psychology, then right now your psychologist is less the problem, your psychiatrist is. Or alternatively, no, because Pluto is not psychiatry. Pluto is but with Saturn in Pisces, maybe, I don't know. But whatever drugs that you're given with Venus, if you're prescribed drugs to any medical issue, whenever something opposes Neptune, hard aspects Neptune, not good for you. No, you will be disillusioned in the good case, but they can be quite little, because Neptune rules diseases that are undiagnosed, and if you're given drugs, it has operations that are undiagnosed, and it will be very difficult to identify that it's coming from this drug, or you will be gaslighted. So this is something that I say, I'm not your doctor, but I look at the chart and I delineate the chart. If it is relational, then again, with Pluto, you're going to have a deep transformation, beautiful aspect to have, especially if you've been carrying fears of intimacy or anxiety around intimacy, or even anxiety around commitment. But this person, for example, could be single, could be this, could be that, but they may have an alcohol problem. Okay, and so this cannot be this person that you commit to with this aspect. Okay, let's not make it a ceremony on this, but it's also transient. Venus would also square Pluto in any relationship that you will have this transit, and sextile or trine Neptune. Okay, so you have to also keep that in mind. And I think, yes, this is it. Those are the aspects for Venus. So she is going from the opposition of Saturn to the trine to Pluto, to the trine to Uranus, and opposition to Neptune. Okay. Meanwhile, she's having a trine to Jupiter. So this is what Venus will do. As you can see, she connects with Jupiter in its retrograde phase. So this is a very reflective Jupiter. Okay, Uranus, Saturn, and the beginning, Saturn and Lilith, and Pluto, and Neptune. Okay, she is going to contact all the outer planets. If you're Pisces ascendant or Virgo ascendant, you have been having this for a while. That whenever something gets into Virgo, it stirs up your everything of nest, because it triggers the outer planets transits. And if you have outer planets to inner planets transits, then you've been having that on steroids, or on psychedelics, or on whatnot, this is going on. And as of 2024, it will be slowly changed. But right now, everything that enters Virgo is having a conversation with all the outer planets, and particularly in this time also with Saturn. Okay, and Jupiter is less the point. Jupiter is like Jupiter, but Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, it means that this is heavyweight Venus there. If you look at the bigger picture, now Ketu is ruled by Venus. There is a lot to let go. There is a lot to transform. There is a lot of reality check to do. There's a lot of illusions to give up on. And there's a lot of deep healing and satisfying transformation to go through. And I'm sneezing because it's true. Thank you. So now you've probably been wondering about the 12 houses. And I'm going to do the 12 houses for you. So let's begin with Aries Ascendant. Like with right now, it's Aries Ascendant. So for Aries Ascendant, Venus is going to go through your 8th house. Sorry, your 6th house. Mercury opposing Neptune, pardon. Venus is going to go to your 6th house of health, enemies, pets, and service to the world. Also a house of employees. And she's going to connect with all the who and who's that are ruling the spirit of the time. So if your employees have been quiet quitting, you will need to reform your worldview and take a look at what's been too heavyweight. Okay? If your pet has been wanting to get out of the house and take a walk every 30 seconds, maybe the pet is ill, but maybe it's time for you to move to a house with a yard. They're just trying to tell you that. Okay? Maybe the pet is manifesting for you something bigger. Or it's time for you to meet a partner when Venus will enter Libra, and now your pet is preparing you for that. Okay? If it is an enemy at work, then you need to reevaluate your self-value. Or your partner tried to work with you and it becomes like a bit of an enmity. Okay, so maybe it's not good for you to work with your partner. You got to do something different. I don't know. You need to reevaluate that. If it's your physical health, then the key to healing lies in relations and values and your self-values. Connection is the key to healing. If expression, speaking your voice out, okay, singing. If you are ascendant Taurus, then Virgo is your 5th house. And so, well, what you do for fun is now up to a lot of controversies, illusion and disillusionment, liberation, transformation, and reality checks that may or may not be real. So there's confusing times. Also with your children, the way you grow your children, you as a child, your relationships with your inner child. Okay? If you're prescribed any medication for your children, be very wary. Okay? Because it's Neptune. It's more problematic. And creative projects. If you have some addictions like gambling or something like this, then you may be illusioned and disillusioned from either your pattern. Maybe you become aware that you have this addiction, or you thought that you have a new passion in life and you find out it's just another addiction, or that you're disillusioned from the way to treat this addiction. Maybe they say, oh, take these pills to treat your addiction to amphetamines, and they say, okay, so take these beta blockers to treat your amphetamines addiction, and you're like, okay, there's something wrong with what I marketed as medicine here is not really medicine, but I don't know what else, and you're gonna need to have another Venus cycle to find out for the spirits of the time to change if that is the case. Ascendant Gemini, Virgo is your 3rd house. And so if you have a business that you run, or your communication style, or even transportation, okay, you could buy a car and be disillusioned with how useful it is or isn't. You could try new styles of communications with your siblings. 3rd house also siblings. Your daily routine, you might be changing your daily routine up and then being illusioned or disillusioned by something liberated in your daily routine as well. In neighborhood or your neighbors, okay, might be having some refreshing experiences around your neighbors, your neighborhood, or your garden, or your bathroom. Maybe you're redesigning your bathroom. 3rd house is also bathtub. So Maybe you buy a jacuzzi and then you're like, I thought it was going to be more fun than it actually is. Ascendant Cancer. Oh, wait, for you it was fourth house. Sorry. I'm going to need to stop and do it in another video. Okay, I've just exceeded myself. I'm going to need to stop and do the signs in another video. But thank you for watching.